But it's a FAL, so it will inevitably choke and die on it.
Oh, really?
Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range, and a little bit of an extra video here at Finnish Brutality 2023. I am joined by Mr. Ian McCullum of Forgotten Weapons, and if you don't know who he is, where have you been the last 10-20 years? We've been doing together with Giga of L1A1 Tactical battle rifles.
Yep.
And I have an L1A1, sort of the OG.
I have something that started life as a G3.
Yep, and is now
Mostly G3 still, with all the ancillary parts changed out.
yeah. And Giga's been shooting some AK that he bought some Saiga 308 and then replaced all the parts with, but that's,
Yeah, he dragged it through a tactical catalog.
yeah, again,
It is pretty cool.
yeah.
Shoot for it. But we have finally had an issue with your FAL.
Yeah, so basically, Ian is all about how he's never seen a FAL run, and they've always been problems, and you've owned how many?
I've gone through 4, and it's just excruciating to find one that actually runs completely reliably.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a mystery to me, but it just, I know they weren't like that in service, but they seem to be like that in the US.
Yeah. So my experience of FALs is them not being US FALs. I mean, DS FALs make it into Europe, but the only ones I've seen any evidence of have been the scratch-built ones. They're not cut and shut like backstreet, back road garage custom.
Typically in Europe, you have factory semi-autos,
Yep.
which in the US are still considered machine guns because they've got ejector blocks or auto ejector blocks in them. And you've got down converted full autos until just quite recently.
It depends on which country you're in, because actually Switzerland got easier with the down converted full autos, where some countries don't like them. So this is a factory refurb L1A1, and it has the outer battery safety taken out of it, but it's all OG parts, which is something you just can't get in the US.
Right, because that receiver is a machine gun in the US,
Yeah.
even if it's stupid.
So our working theory that we've been discussing over many beers and long drinks is that basically the US ones are cut and shuts, and there's something else going on that mean that you've got great problems with them. And you were sort of initially all, I'm going to shoot a G3, it's going to be way more reliable than you're shooting a FAL, it's going to die a death on you.
Well, so Jordan ran one of my FALs here.
Yeah.
And it did exactly that. By the last stage, it was a manually operated single shot rifle. Yeah. And we have now done, you and I, 8 stages. And we've actually finished the last of the rifle stages.
Yep.
So the last 2 are pistol only. And it was only on this stage, this last one, that you had a problem. And it was the exact same problem that I started to have on the G3 as well.
And it's not a cycling problem.
No.
It's a first round load and make ready problem. And I was running 30 round L4 LMG magazines, which are the magazines for the 7.62 NATO converted brain guns. And the British Army sort of brick mill bong FUD law is that they don't work underneath the rifle because they're like gravity assist and things. And I've not cleaned the rifle. I've been running the same 2 L4 mags on basically almost every stage, except one when I came unstuck with trying to reload out of a crappy 58 pattern pouch. And it was only on the last stage with a full one with 30 rounds in it, I cock it, and the bolt only goes halfway, and to fix it, I pull back the cocking handle and let it go. Whoa! No. Good. And then it ran like a champ, and you had basically the same issue.
I had the exact same issue. Mine was a little worse than yours because I had it appear before this very last stage.
Joo. Mä en oikein saa, mä en pysty pitämään semmoista kuvaa, kun tää ei ohjata rajoittaa. Ja mä kauppaan sitä jo. No, johonkin sanaa ja totuusin sanaa vähän.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Where's the forward assist?
Quiet you. All right. And the feed ramp for the G3 is a bit longer. So the problem I have is when it doesn't go all the way forward, if I try to just recharge it, I end up with a double feed So what you do, you take the mag out and then you have a loose round. So what I ended up doing was just manually feeding the loose round into the chamber, closing the bolt and and slamming the mag on it. And there's enough energy in the bolt when it's actually firing that it cycles no problem. But there's enough fine moon dust. You wouldn't think of Finland as fine moon dust, but the range out here has an immense amount of fine moon dust.
Yeah, and we have been grubbing around in the dust a lot, and we have not been cleaning the guns.
So the trick here is if you put a whole bunch of oil in the gun, that's great until all the moon dust gloms onto the oil, and then you're screwed. If you run the gun dry, that's great until the moon dust gets in there, and then you've got no lubricant and you're screwed. So kind of the solution is to clean the gun regularly, which
None of us do.
I haven't really been doing. I put some oil on the inside, not exposed to the ejection port, and that helped me between day 1 and day 2. But and Giga's AK started having the exact same trouble on this last stage as well.
Yeah, he was having a lot of.
His was a multi-part problem, but it was exacerbated by dust slowing down the bolt carrier and robbing some of the energy.
Yeah, it was looking very slow going forward.
So, and that's you've got sand cuts in there. I wonder how much that actually has helped prevent this issue from arising until now.
I don't know, because I mean, if you look in there, there's not actually that much dust in them, so it's not really. I mean, basically, the sand cuts are to give the crap somewhere to go,
Right.
so that it doesn't just gum up the works up to a certain point until they get too caked up, and then they don't do any good. And there was this big thing with the mud test back in the day of, do the sand cut bolt carriers make a huge difference or not? And with the mud test, I mean, you're just lashings of mud on there. They're just filled right away.
Yeah.
And in that situation, they might be counterproductive even. We don't know, because basically FALs eat a big bag of fat ones in the mud tests. But here, I mean, you can see that between the on the sort of flat bits, there's less dust and there's more inside. So they're doing something. Maybe it works, but there's loads of. But that doesn't touch anything. Yeah, but I mean,
In conclusion, battle rifles heavy, moon dust bad.
Yeah, FALs do run when they're quality FALs.
Proper,
when they're proper.
Yeah. And the G3 has been running great.
Yeah,
with the only aside being that a little tricky loading the first round, and part of that is also the tension on the magazine. It's a full magazine. But I've had no malfunctions of any kind.
Me neither.
Except for the occasional little hiccup loading the first round. My solution for stages where we were loading on the clock was to download the magazine by 1 or 2 rounds.
Yep.
And that prevented the problem every time. So
I haven't had to do that. Oh yeah, quick thing. Now a FAL you can put a full mag on easily. G3 you have to hook back, and early on you were doing the full mag change thing.
So the thing with the G3 is you don't have to have the bolt locked open, but if you don't have it open, you basically have to put the mag in there and smack it. And you can't do that prone. That's really an administrative thing. So when I'm loading the rifle, as a part of a load and make ready sequence, I can do that without trouble. Whenever I'm reloading on the clock, it has always been lock it open, put the mag in, smack it down.
Yeah. I've been mostly avoiding reloads by these, and they've, aside from on that last stage with the load and make ready, they've run absolutely fine,
Which is awesome. Yeah.
which is cool. So in future, I now know.
All right. Well, we got
good.
2 more pistol stages to do.
Yep, my
Shall we?
pistol's been sucking, so shall we? Yes.
All right.